To the untrained eye, it might have seemed like everything was fine, but to people that were really looking for it, aka me, who was preying on their downfall every day, I started to see some problems. And I think we need to start here. This is where things just started to go crazy. She basically said it was adult women bullying a 17-year-old girl. Then this bomb drops. How many people noticed recent transactions were going directly to an account in Alexis's name rather than Epic? Hey guys, I'm so sorry about this. It seems that Epicons at this point is a scam. They have gotten away with about $1 million worth of your money, vendors' money, and my fee. Guys, if the actors haven't been paid, I don't have a lot of hope. They have now deleted their TikTok account. The whole thing's been wiped. They're on the run. Epicons is now enemy number one. I made a decision to start collecting stories, screenshots, timelines. I started asking people questions. Some people might say I have somewhat of a vendetta against this company. You see, I've been personally wronged by Epicons. I'm one of many. And because of this, for the last year, I've been collecting evidence against Epicons. So now that things have certainly transpired recently with the demise of this company, I'm bringing out all the receipts and I'm going to give you a comprehensive timeline of every single piece of tea, lore, drama that I've ever collected from this particular company. Oh, we're sharing it all today because it's time. There's been too many people who have been silenced, who have been ostracized by these women and by this cult-like community that they've built. No longer. My ultimate goal in making this video is to hopefully prevent something like this from happening ever again, right? And I also just want people that have had horrible experiences with this company, which at this point are thousands of people. And as I sit here, there are thousands of people who are out thousands of dollars. I hope that you can feel validated in hearing the experiences of others, because I'm sure many people have felt scared to come forward before this time. So it's time to come forward with the truth about Epicons. So let's start here. Who are we talking about today? Well, we're talking about none other than Epic Events and Entertainment, or Epic Cons. It's a fandom event and entertainment company that hosts a lot of conventions and ways that you can meet your favorite actors, actresses. You can get autographs, you can watch panels, you can buy merch. There's lots of vendors. It's like a huge production, okay? And they largely are centered around the Vampire Diaries. That's probably their biggest conventions that they do. So Vampire Diaries Originals, the Legacies, these are all fandoms that are intertwined. They're like sister shows that kind of build off of each other. And before I even start this, I want to mention, you do not need to know these shows or these characters. You don't have to have had watched them before in order to follow along with this. Don't worry. Like I said, I'm going to give you the full rundown. It will be as if you've watched the entire show. Hopefully by the end of this, you will know all the main characters of everything that we're discussing. They have a decent following over on TikTok as well. This screenshot is actually pretty rare because they have now deleted their TikTok account. The whole thing's been wiped. This is gonna get wild. Okay, they're on the run. The owners are on the run. Things have devolved very quickly. And don't worry, we're gonna cover that. I managed to get a screenshot of this before they deleted it. This is what their website used to look like. This link is also now defunct. Okay, so if you go to their website now, it says 404 error. Before, it used to have like all the links to their social media pages. It would have merch on there. You could buy like specific merch to Epic conventions. They had all the tickets available. They had a ton of upcoming conventions, including Boston. They were having one in November, I believe. And you can see here that they've actually branched out to a lot of different fandoms as well. So like Pretty Little Liars. They actually recently did Harry Potter, some Harry Potter actors. They did a big one with Stranger Things. They do One Tree Hill stars, Twilight, Gossip Girl. They've hit a lot of other fandoms, and this was pretty much like the go-to convention company. If you followed basically any popular show, you had to go to like an Epic event. Epicons had a really loyal following of people that would go to multiple conventions, and I don't want to say it's like the only way to meet some of your favorite actors, but it almost was like the only way to meet a lot of your favorite actors. There weren't really a whole lot of other convention companies that were doing what Epicons was doing. And they also offered meet and greets as well. So for a price, okay, for a price, it usually wasn't cheap, but you could also do these private meet and greets where you're talking in like a small group setting directly with your favorite actors. So there were some opportunities that were present to like really get to know some of your favorite actors if you're into that sort of thing. This company was co-founded by 3 women. This is the first one and probably the most notable. So her name's Alexis Arnold. Remember the name. So this is her in Mystic Falls. She was by far the most forward-facing of all the co-owners. This is her with the other co-owner named Anna Owen. And like I said, there was a third one, but based on what I've been told, she was allegedly pushed out for some reason. I've also heard things through the grapevine that this other owner, Danielle was her name, she kind of came in with like all the seed money to do this, and then they pushed her out after they like got the money or something. I don't know. I'm just telling you what I've heard, but she's no longer working with Epic. So now it's just the 2 co-owners, which is Alexis and Anna. And to my knowledge, the origin of how they came to be, they were fans that met at a convention. I think they met at like a One Tree Hill convention or something like that, but they all met up at a convention and they decided, oh, let's put these on ourselves. To my knowledge, once again, what I've heard, they had no event experience. It was just like fans of shows. They're like, let's try to do this. I've got a crazy idea. Let's start a company. Now, what's really interesting about them not having a lot of event experience, or none at all for that matter, is that they rose to popularity extremely quickly. This company has not been in existence for more than a few years at this point. So it was kind of shocking when all of a sudden they were like the go-to event company. And a lot of it was based around the show Vampire Diaries. So if you've seen the Vampire Diaries, personally, it's one of my favorite shows of all time that I've ever seen. Love the show. The thing that you have to understand, if you're not familiar with the Vampire Diaries, is that all of the actors are extremely engaged still with the show. The show ended about 8 years ago, but all of the actors are very much still known for their role in the show Vampire Diaries, okay? Like if you go to their Instagrams, it's all like people are just calling them by their character names. They're not even like addressing them by their real name. People are still obsessed with their character in the show. You know, I know that there's some people out there that are like, oh my God, seriously? Like there's nothing worse than an actor who just can't let it go. Okay, they just can't let it go. They can't move on. They keep trying to milk their roles that they were in 10 years ago, whatever. And I couldn't disagree anymore. I personally love when the actors don't just abandon the role that got them famous, right? Like they still talk about it. They still want to live in the world with like the rest of the fandom, right? And they are still very active with the fandom and the role, and like they're willing to talk about it and attend events. And I personally love it. So I don't want to hear it. The Vampire Diaries is very unique in that way because all of the actors are still very much engaged in their role. They all pretty much, for the most part, attend conventions. In my opinion, that's why the Vampire Diaries fandom is so huge, okay? So quickly, this company was able to get all the big actors to show up and do these conventions. There were other companies that were doing TVD conventions, but nobody else was getting like the amount of actors all in one place that Epic Events was getting. I'm not kidding, it would be like 50 actors. I'm like, were there even that many people in the show? But they would have like 50 people. All of them are doing panels. They all know each other. They're all still friends with each other. They all still attend each other's things in real life. Like the fandom is still alive and well. Eventually, after the success of Vampire Diaries, then they branched out into the originals. If you've seen the originals, it's kind of a spin-off or like sister show of the Vampire Diaries. And it's about the Michelson family. But they got all of the originals actors as well. So they would have also the entire originals cast attending these conventions. Okay, so Joseph Morgan sitting down right here. You have Daniel Gillies, Phoebe Tonkin. Then they had another spin-off show called The Legacy, so they have everybody. You know, a lot of people felt like, okay, it's worth it for me to spend money to get here because everybody's here. I'm not just meeting like one actor. I can meet the entire cast at one time. Another huge draw of these conventions is that they actually hosted the conventions, a lot of them, in Mystic Falls, which technically is in Covington, Georgia. It's a town where they filmed a lot of their scenes, and there's like an iconic clock tower. It's like a little town square. It's really cute. I've been there. There's the Mystic Grill, which is a huge part of the show where a lot of the characters eat at like every day. You can actually eat there as well. So it's kind of like if the town of Gilmore Girls was Stars Hollow was like a real place that you could go to. People would be flocking there all the time, and people obviously flock to here. So it was a really cool opportunity to actually go and be in Mystic Falls and have all the cast back there with you, right? So that was a huge draw, but these things did not come without a cost. These conventions were extremely expensive, actually way more expensive than any of the other TVD conventions that are currently going on. Autographs, selfies, entry fee, meet and greet prices, all of this stuff is extremely expensive. And basically, let me explain to you, if you go to one of these conventions, what you would have to pay for, because you're not getting out of this without spending a couple hundred, if not mostly thousands of dollars, because entry fee alone, just for like general 3-day admission, was maybe around like $400 or something like that for like basic general admission. And all this gets you is basically you can watch panels. And then on top of your entry fee, you have to pay, if you want, you can pay for autographs. For a lot of the actors, it's like $100 a piece. If you want photo ops, those are even more expensive. So that's like $150. If you want to combine, and let's say you want to get a picture with like Ian Somerhalder right here and Paul Wesley, it's like both of their prices combined. Okay, so you're paying like $300 for a single photo. They get you in and out too. It's like you say hi for 1 second, snap a photo, and then basically it's like a cane pulls you off the stage and they're like, get the hell out of here. It's very quick. It's kind of shocking, honestly. And I'll go deeper into this. In my opinion, it was very clear from the beginning that they were way overselling tickets as well. Like they were selling tons. They were making tons and tons of money doing this. By the way, most of this video is going to be centered around the Vampire Diaries specifically, just because that was the biggest fandom convention that they put on. But the biggest characters from the show and the biggest draws of these conventions were, without a doubt, Ian Somerhalder, who plays Damon Salvatore, okay? And then you have Paul Wesley, who plays Stefan Salvatore in the show. Okay, so these are like the two biggest ones. They're always at every convention. They always sell out. But last year, they managed to finally get Nina Dobrev, who plays Elena Gilbert in Vampire Diaries. Now, this was a huge deal because up until this time last year, like she didn't do any conventions. Maybe it was 2023 or something, but it was basically last year. And she had not done a convention before, okay? She had not really like returned to the Vampire Diaries like world really. And so she finally attended. And then after that, it was like EpicCons, in my opinion, was on a power trip. The prices for everything were jacked up even higher, okay? Because they were like, we got Nina Dobrev. People are literally fainting outside of after meeting her, okay? It was kind of crazy. It kind of cemented them as like the biggest TVD fandom event company because of this. After they got Nina, things just went crazy. Like they went bonkers, okay? So then they started getting like Stranger Things, which is like, I mean, that's probably an even bigger show. I'm also a big fan of Stranger Things, like love Stranger Things. Things were looking pretty good and it seemed like things were going great for Epic. However, this will become very important information for later. They did have a competitor who had actually been doing TVD conventions much longer than them. They've actually been in business, I think, since 1971. And I myself have actually attended one of their events. So this is me at Vampire Fan Weekend. Yeah, I attended and it was great. It was much smaller. They didn't have as many actors, but this was actually held in Dallas and they had same thing. Tons of vendors, t-shirts, sell the same things, autograph, meet and greets, special events that you can attend. This is a special event with Joseph Morgan, who plays Klaus in the originals, and his wife, Persia, who plays Bonnie's mom in the Vampire Diaries. So a lot of opportunities to meet, get autographs, hear panels with all of the characters. And honestly, I had a great experience at creation events. I was kind of always confused why Epic became as popular as they became and why these certain actors were choosing to work with Epic over creation. That was kind of weird to me. If you're asking me in my humble opinion, I think that Epic basically took the model that Creation Entertainment has and they just repackaged it and used it for their own events. And you'll see later that Epic has a very contentious relationship with Creation. They wanted the actors to be loyal to them. They didn't want other fans attending multiple events. It was a big deal. So like I said, I'm telling you this because there's some things coming down the pipeline. So like I mentioned earlier, Epic started out with 3 co-founders, Alexis, Anna, and Danielle. And then there was a huge group called the Epic Girls, which were basically like the Epic employees. Everybody kind of like in the fandom knew who these girls were. And I'm not going to name these girls directly, but I'm just letting you know that they ran a lot of Epic events. So volunteer coordinator, support staff, there was one that ran like all of their social media. If you were part of like this fandom universe, if you were part of the Facebook groups, you knew who these girls were. You would see them at events. Okay, they were a lot of time all you had to really like direct your questions to. They play a big role in the undoing of this company and caused a lot of grief for a lot of people, in my opinion. So yeah, it's a really great group of girls. No, it's not. So they were very close with Alexis as well. Like it was a very cliquey group of people. So obviously Epic had their Epic Girls that they paid directly and like they worked for their company, but they also had Epic volunteers. Okay, so a lot of these events were actually largely run by the help of volunteers, unpaid volunteers. And you want to know the worst thing is that I have recently been told, okay, and I think that they may have changed this later on, but initially the volunteers still had to, allegedly, pay for their entry into the convention that they were working at for free. I mean, that's insane. So they had to pay like $400 something, their lodging, their hotel accommodations. And these events would not be able to take place without the generous support of these volunteers. Like I said, they may have changed that where they no longer required them to actually pay for their entry in the convention, which would be crazy anyway because they work these people so hard. You know, I've heard several accounts of people, volunteers, who have said that they had to work long hours with no lunch breaks, you know, standing in the hot sun all day, not given a whole lot of direction, being screamed at by Alexis, by the Epic Girls, asked to leave by the Epic Girls. I've heard horror stories of mistreatment, and all I know for sure that they were given in return for this help was basically like just a couple selfies, I think, with some of the actors, and I don't think it was with any of like the big name actors. So all they got was selfies. That's what I've heard. I know there's a lot of volunteers that had great experiences, and I want to make the disclaimer also, if you're watching this and you were a volunteer, or if you've been to one of these conventions and you had a great time, you need to be able to compartmentalize and understand that just because you had a great experience does not mean other people did. Right now, we're talking about the people who have been wronged, and many people have been wronged, and those people have been silenced. I'm sorry, but I really don't want to hear it, that I had a great time and I don't know what you guys are talking about. Zip it, okay? I have heard so many horror stories I can't even count at this point. And obviously there's some truth to that with how things have shaken out. So anyway, that's basically how they worked. And the volunteers in the fandom were really the things that were keeping these conventions alive and afloat. But I just think it's crazy, like they didn't even have to pay people. So this is a big component to the story. And I'm gonna try to explain this in the best way possible. There is a Facebook group that Epic ran, okay, and all the Epic Girls were admins of, which is called I Was Feeling Epic in Mystic Falls. And you can see here it has almost 25,000 members. This group was the epicenter of cult-like behavior. There is no other way to describe it other than this was cliquey, it was mean, it was nastiness, it was dismissiveness, it was passive aggressiveness. I'm telling you, the feeling I got from being in this Facebook group, I'm still in it, okay? I can't shake it. And you can see here that Anna Owen, okay, was an admin of it. Alexis Arnold was an admin. A lot of the Epic Girls were admins. So here's someone explaining the cult-like behavior.
This was one of the main modes of manipulation that were used to get people to essentially be consumers of their events. People were told that if they volunteered for another event that they were blacklisted.
She's referring to if you volunteered for a creation event, you would be blacklisted from ever volunteering or attending an Epic event.
It
forcing
was
loyalty.
Some of the most wild behavior I've ever experienced, and I've seen cult-like behavior in other industries, and it really is about control. Control, it's ego.
People would attack if you said one thing, even mildly, remotely criticizing Epic in any way, shape, or form. This was a post made by one of the Epic Girls, okay, one of the main ones, and she basically wrote this, and I got bad vibes because all of her posts were passive aggressive like this and just mean-spirited. You guys, I'm telling you, you have to understand that there was a certain context in which these people were speaking to their customers, okay? Because at the end of the day, these were their customers that were spending thousands of dollars to attend their conventions. This was one of the posts, okay? Panels. We have made the decision to no longer post panels from our events to YouTube. We may begin again in the future under a revised model, but at this time, we have made the decision to no longer post them. The implications of this, like, I'm sorry, they're so greedy. They probably didn't want to do it because they weren't making a whole lot of money off doing this. It's so gross to the people that paid money to go to these conventions and may have missed the panel because they were off doing something else that they had paid for. And I think those people should be able to see the panels for the conventions that they attended. The decision to do this is just out of spite. Honestly, this might not encapsulate totally the nastiness, but it's just a little taste. You have to just understand that this was happening on a nearly weekly basis. Every single day, it was some sort of passive aggressive post about the things that people were doing wrong, the things that they didn't like that their customers were doing. It was unreal. Here's another comment I found. I was at the first con in Covington, had some horrible experiences. The Epic girls were absolutely terrible on how they ended up handling everything. Instead of being professional, they were rude bullies. My mental health struggled for a bit because of them, and I was ultimately blocked and banned from the conventions. I am happy that karma is getting them now. Oh yeah, well, don't worry. Karma got them. Take like the worst, most cliquey mean girl behavior that you can think of and just dial it up to 10. Honestly, that is what it was. It was nastiness. It was talking behind people's backs. It was banning people. It was silencing people. It was making fun of people. Oh, yeah. In October, an attendee raised almost $1,000 in this group to gift the 3 girls with gift baskets, which I'm sorry, but like, I heard a lot of stories of like people giving the Epic girls gifts. I'm telling you, you guys, it was like these people were mind compelled. If you watch TVD, you know the significance of that reference, but there was like mind compulsion going on. They were truly sired, okay, to the Epic girls. Like they were buying them gifts, they were bringing them things. Apparently this person raised $1,000 in a group to gift girls with gift baskets, the Epic girls, and put a lot of time and money into it. She didn't even get a thank you. And I can't remember the attendees hearing anything about it unless I missed it. She was kicked out of the main group for posting about A&F, which is always in ForeverCon, and was overall treated horribly by Alexis. So once again, if you post about any of the competition, you're gone. She had been attending and volunteering for conventions for years, coming to Covington for years, even had her name on one of the main street trolleys as a top fan. She was so supportive of them, hence the gift baskets, and offered a lot of help with what talent to get, etc. It was an awful way that they treated her, and they said, I heard about this. So this is how they treated their most loyal people. And I think because so many people were silenced in these groups and blocked and like censored, you did get this feeling of like, everything's great. Everything went great with the con, even though most of the cons were a show, in my opinion. Things were going so horribly wrong. Things that most people would never put up with were happening at every single convention, and people were not able to express those concerns because they would be deleted. And if you have to ban people for even saying mild things, something's wrong. Okay, well, now we arrive at the part of the video where I share my personal experience, okay? Because unfortunately for me, I did attend Epic cons. Okay, I attended the Epic June wedding. It was hosted in Covington, Georgia, aka Mystic Falls, and I do quotation marks because it wasn't actually, upon arrival, hosted anywhere near the town of Mystic Falls as advertised. This was actually somewhere that was 15 to 20 minutes away in like a warehouse, and this was in the middle of June in Georgia. Okay, so it was blazing hot, baking down sun, and a lot of the convention was actually outside. Okay, a lot of the lines to get into the photos, some of the merch, the vendors, the food trucks, all of this was outside in this like unbearable heat. This was probably the worst experience that I have ever had. And like I said, I've been wanting to make this video for a very long time. And after I attended this event, I was this close and I didn't. And I'll tell you why. As you saw, if anyone spoke out negatively about this company, they would be banned from any future events. And while I decided within myself that I would never attend any of these events ever again, my friend who I attended with is a humongous TVD fan. And I knew that if I said something, it might reflect back onto her and it might impact her experience at these events. I didn't want to take a chance and like have her get banned from going to one of these because she likes to attend many events. And I'm like, you know what? It's not worth it. But I'm telling you, after I left, I wanted to scream from the rooftops. So I just silently plotted behind the scenes, hoping that one day I'd be able to share, you know, my experience. So today's that day for all of us. All right. So anyway, I attended Epic June wedding. It was a disaster. Start to finish, it was a disaster. These were some of the lines. This was the registration line. People have umbrellas. I'm telling you, this was like the hottest day. I don't think I've ever been this hot in my entire life. And it's like humid as well. And then this was the event center. So they have 1,000 chairs in here and, you know, some screens in the back. And this was one thing that really just drove me freaking crazy. The way that Epic would do tickets leading up to this is they would slowly release who was coming to the convention. So months leading up to this point, every single Saturday, You had to be online on the website at a specific time as if it was Taylor Swift Eras Tour tickets. And you would have to fight in a queue to try to get tickets for the people that you wanted to meet or take a photo with or get an autograph of. And they would sell out in seconds. So Ian sold out within 2 minutes. Every weekend, it was hours that you were sitting online doing this. And in my opinion, the way that they would stagger and like release like a new person every weekend was basically like a way to string it out and like have you spend more money, because every weekend you'd be like, oh, I'm only spending $100 here. But you would forget that, oh, I spent $100 last weekend. Some people are probably not keeping track of like how much money am I spending. At the end of all of it, you're spending thousands without even realizing it. Does that make sense? Because other conventions, they just are like, here's who's coming, buy your autos all at once, buy all your photo ops that you want to get at once, and you see like the price that you're paying, right? No, with Epic, they would do basically the scarcity marketing for a convention. And it's like, I already bought my non-refundable admission ticket, and now I might not get to meet one of the people that I came here to see. Like, this is crazy. And plus, you could see, by the way, that they way oversold certain actors, like basically every single actor, way oversold. You had no time to interact with these people. It was such a transactional, gross feeling process, in my opinion. And to me personally, it was very hard to shake that feeling of, I feel sort of discarded. I feel weird about this. The way that we were kind of shoved in and out by Epic staff was disconcerting. And then this to me was unreal. Okay, so they had like a main event space. So I showed you like the main warehouse where they had all of the chairs and stuff like that, the panel going on. Well, you had to walk across to a tent. They had a huge tent outside where all of the selfies and the autographs were going to take place. Okay, so they had some like booths and tables set up around the tent. By the way, this is kind of a reference of what I thought the convention was going to look like. So you can imagine my surprise when I showed up and it was in a tent. I thought it was going to be like individual booths and kind of sectioned off, you know, good lighting, all of that stuff, especially because photos and autographs are basically like one of the three main things that they advertise and like the biggest reason why you even go to these conventions in the first place. So this is kind of what my expectation was, just to give you a reference. This is what it looked like. This was the little ramp that you walk into. And then this was the room. This is where we're supposed to take selfies, which the selfies were not cheap, okay? Some people's selfies were like $70 a piece, $80, $100 a pop. And all they have is these measly little Christmas lights going around. That was the only source of lighting in the entire thing. And it's just plywood, trash smell, no chairs to really sit on, like a couple chairs in the corner, and then these booths. And look how dark it is. I was shocked. I was like, wait, this is this huge convention that I just paid to go to? Okay. And you can see on the ground that they had just basically used painter's tape to mark out and do like a snake accordion line. We were standing like cattle in this room, shoulder to shoulder, and it is hot in here, but just wait. Okay, so here's the room. This is where we're supposed to be. All the magic's gonna be happening. They did have AC. You guys, these photos came out horrible. But then the worst thing that possibly could happen happened. About an hour in, I'm standing in here because I spent most of my event experience in this tent. The power goes out. The little Christmas string lights that were giving us any source of lighting, those were gone. Okay, the AC was out. So it is like 100+ degrees and we're all standing in here, like I said, shoulder to shoulder. I was sweating my ass off. I literally had sweat dripping down my back. They didn't have a backup generator because they didn't think about that. Maybe, you know, they didn't want to spend money on it. It was out for an hour and 45 minutes and it didn't come back on until basically 2 hours later. That's absolutely unacceptable. And I just knew in that moment, I go, these are not people that should be running conventions. Like, look at this. I mean, standing shoulder to shoulder, you guys, because look at all these people, and all these people had bought extra add-ons and different things like that. And this was maybe even the worst part. So like I said, things were not planned out very well, and this was one of them. This was the line outside, okay? They wouldn't let anyone in inside of this other warehouse were the photo ops. They would only let in like 20 people at a time, no joke, for like each line. So most people had to stand outside in the baking heat. This line wraps all the way around, like past the food trucks, down super far, and people were passing out left and right from heat stroke, okay? left and right. And they were getting screamed at saying, get in line, move out of the way, come back later when it's your time. Like the lines were super long because once again, they oversold everything. So like if you bought an autograph or something, you'd be waiting in line for an hour, okay, for one person. And meanwhile, you'd be missing something else. So like my friend who, like I said, attended this convention with me, she didn't get to see one single panel the entire weekend. And if you remember, they took the panels off of YouTube, but they stopped filming them because they were being spiteful. While I was waiting in a lot of these lines, I started talking to the people that were next to me, and I had so many people say, I'm never coming to this again. This has been an awful experience. And one of the worst ones that I personally heard, one of the girls that went spent $1,200 to meet Ian in the Mystic Grill. Some of the meet and greets, they were having them like inside of really cool places inside of Covington. So like inside the Mystic Grill, they would have them, you know, at some of the characters' houses that they filmed in front of, and like, you know, some of the local restaurants and things that have ties to the show. So anyway, these people paid $1,200 to meet. It was either Ian and Paul or just Ian, because they had overbooked him and overscheduled him. He was 30 minutes late to an hour meet and greet. So this hugely expensive experience that they had paid for to be able to meet and talk with him for an hour now became 30 minutes. And they had to reach out themselves. Epic didn't even offer them refunds. They had to reach out and band together themselves and collectively send an email saying, hey, we would like a refund on this or a partial credit because this is unacceptable. He was here for 30 minutes. We paid $1,200. And all Epic gave them in return was a credit to a future convention. And this is only after they themselves had to reach out. So it's like, oh, I'm getting a credit to a future convention, so I have to pay entry fee to another one and then just use this at like the next convention. So I have to come all the way out here to go to another one. Because most people fly in for these, you know, especially for the Mystic Falls ones, most people fly in to that event specifically. Are you kidding me? So that's just an example of some of their customer service. It's just completely unacceptable. So anyway, I was not the only one, however, who had a horrible experience.
Hey guys, it's Jay with the Laughing Peach, and I am coming on here because I have to get this off my chest. And I don't want to hurt anybody's business, but when a business makes decisions that not just hurt my business, but other vendors, it really upsets me.
Like I said, I've been collecting evidence for over a year now. This video was a year ago, and I saved it immediately because I'm like, you know what? I might need it one day. Well,
it makes me very, very angry, if I'm being honest with you. For everybody who attended a June wedding and saw how the setup was done and saw where some of the vendors were versus other vendors, it was beyond obvious that it was an epic failure.
This is where they put all the vendors. They were so far away from where the actual panels were taking place. They were on the complete opposite side of the autograph booth. But of course, Epic put their favorite vendor directly in the panel area. Okay, so they were like the main vendor that was like making a ton of sales that everybody saw. And then they did have some other vendors going on like right outside of the panel thing. So everybody walked by them as they exited the building. There was definitely some favoritism going on with specific vendors, but they basically put all these vendors over in the corner of the lot. It was so far away from everything. It was so far away. And like I said, it was so hot that you didn't even want to be outside like in the sun like this.
A lot of us had hardly any foot traffic. Some of you guys may not even still know that we were even there, but the bare minimum wasn't done until things got heated. And I don't think that's right. A lot of businesses got hurt by those decisions. We literally had a meeting in which we were belittled and told that the things that we had done to try to drive traffic to us, literally next to the dumpster in a gravel lot, were unacceptable.
Some of the things that they did included putting up signs to say, hey, the vendors are over here. Please come visit us because we have thousands of dollars of inventory over here and no one's coming over here. That was basically the extent of what they did. And Epic was mad about that because they're spiteful losers.
It wouldn't have mattered if I would have said this in the meeting. I just would have been talked over. You can support them, that's fine, but Covington, Georgia is my hometown. I grew up here, And I am not going to let you, I don't care how big you are, I don't care what kind of star you are, you're not going to come to my hometown and treat people like that and get away with it completely. The Laughing Peach will no longer be doing business with Epic Events and Entertainment. The things that they did wrong far outweigh the things that they did right.
Well, the Laughing Peach got the last laugh because EpicCon certainly got the day that they deserve. You know, this was not the only vendor that I started to hear things about. And I also heard stories of people having horrible experiences at conventions that happened after my convention. And this is one of them.
And was kind of up. When I got there, it was winter time in Georgia and it was freezing cold. None of us could feel our hands or our feet. Only the actors had heaters, obviously. Everyone was outside. Like,
it's sad that she's like, yeah, only the actors got heaters, obviously. It's like, just goes to show Epic just did not care about the attendees at all. It was just walking dollar signs to them, and that was so obvious to me the whole time.
They had us all outside in the freezing cold. I could not feel my face or my hands. I have never been that freezing in my life waiting for these panels.
I'm telling you, they don't plan for the elements at all. Like, why the hell are you even having it outside in winter?
And then when it came to meeting the actors and getting your photo, it was incredibly expensive, insanely expensive for them to tell you that you weren't allowed to talk to them or hug them. They were just trying to rush people through like photo go, which I guess is normal for these events, but for the price point, I felt like it was very wrong.
I do honestly feel validated that other people feel this way, because to me it was a very jarring experience, not really kind of knowing what these photos are going to entail, and you know, having paid so much to just smile for a photo and then leave, and they like will yell at you and be like, get up, no, come on, quick, gotta move, quick, next person. Like, just I couldn't believe that that's what it was. And I never felt that way at Creation, by the way. I always felt like I had a good amount of time. It was a good experience. I wasn't being screamed at every 10 seconds. It was specific to EpicCons is what I'm saying. Well, like I said, I had a horrible experience. I made a decision to myself. I'm like, I am never coming to this again. And EpicCons is now enemy number one in my life. Like, I was that mad. Okay, it's been over a year. I'm still mad. I made a decision on site, on location, to start collecting stories, screenshots, timelines. I started asking people questions. Okay, I had a lot of time on my hands, especially at the conventions waiting in lines. So while I was waiting in lines, okay, with no AC and no nothing, mind you, sweating my ass off, mind you, I started asking people questions. Every person that was standing even remotely close to me, I would ask them, so who's your favorite character? Like, I was just curious, right? But in asking this, I started to hear some whispers of burned bridges. I was asking people, who's your favorite character? And hand to heart, I had most people tell me Chase Coleman, who is an actor in the originals. He had a very significant role, in my opinion, in the originals series. The funny part was he wasn't even there, okay? He wasn't even attending the convention. And by the way, I had met him at one of the Creation events. I was like, wait, he's here right now? Like, what do you mean he's in Mystic Falls? And they go, yeah, he came down early on Thursday before the convention started, because the convention was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And they said that he was at one of the local restaurants in Covington and he was meeting fans. And I said, really? And I had, by the way, maybe 5 or 6 people say Chase Coleman was my favorite, including the waitress at the Mystic Grill. I go, well, why isn't he here right now at this event? And she goes, well, let me fill you in. And I go, please do. Okay, so basically what I heard then, Chase had told her personally that Epic had wronged him in some way, okay? They basically contracted him to do an hour concert and made him play for 4 hours and never paid him. And that was kind of like an extent of the story that I heard. So I said, oh, that's not surprising, because Chase had attended an Epic event before, but mysteriously, he was no longer attending them after that. Like, he wasn't at June Wedding. He wasn't at any of the ones that happened after that. And I just always thought that was strange. So I knew that there was a story going on. I was on high alert. Well, also around this time, I was made aware of this Facebook post that his girlfriend had posted after his first event with EpicCons, when this allegedly took place. And it goes as follows. It says, hi, convention family. Chase and I have not been invited back to I Was Feeling Epic in December. We will miss you all tremendously. A word of advice, if you want to run a successful business, I would suggest treating the people who bust their is for you with just a little more respect. Okay, this obviously got a lot of people in the fandom like, what the hell is going on? Edit to say, you are all amazing. Go enjoy yourselves in December. We would never want to deprive you of the phenomenal time. Edit part 2, no, you cannot sue me for this post. Stop emailing and threatening. Look at the damn law and familiarize yourself with the definitions of libel and slander. So I immediately knew, I go, I don't really know exactly what's going on. We need to put a pin in this because something really went down. Okay, if we're getting legal involved, well, don't worry, we're going to find out what that was. But this was the first sign of trouble. Not only are Epic banning like their attendees, their most loyal fans, they're also banning their actors from the conventions and burning bridges with them. Second whisper that I hear of a burn bridge is of this content creator named Addison Bryan. She's got a big following. She's in a lot of fandoms. She does interviews at a lot of conventions. She does content surrounding a lot of these TV shows. She's a huge fan of the Vampire Diaries. And she was actually hired by Epic to do the media for their events. So you can see this one. Hey guys, so excited to tell you about the meet and greet I'm doing on Friday, June 7th at Caroline's house during EpicCon's June wedding. So same one I went to. Come hang out, make TikToks, take pictures on Caroline's porch, talk about TVD, and have mocktails with me. Tickets go on sale 12 p.m. EST on epiccons.com. So they literally sold meet and greets for this girl right here. Okay, and they sold out immediately as well, by the way. She had merch available also at this convention. It was very obvious that they had a pretty significant relationship, and it seemed like at June wedding that they were on pretty good terms.
Dear Diary, I love my life.
So this is her at June wedding. So she got to interview all of the different actors, make TikToks with them, do the meet and greets with them. It seemed like everything was great until soon after the convention, I start receiving intel from my sources, okay, of which I have many. And someone says, did you see that Addison unfollowed EpicCons? And I go, really? And they go, yeah, she unfollowed them and is like kind of cryptically posting, you know, she's not going to be attending the upcoming event. I started to hear little things, okay? Little pieces of information that something had gone awry again. And I go, oh, really? Not surprised. Epic ruins everything with everyone because these girls like have a problem. Well, my guess at the time was that maybe it had something to do with the fact that she attended a supernatural convention with another convention company. Okay, it might have been Creation, I'm not sure, but she attended a different convention. And I literally think, I'm not joking, and by the way, I don't know exactly what happened. It's only her story to tell, and I hope she tells it. But I'm sure, as you can all imagine, that Epic was not happy about that. And also, side note, is that Chase Coleman is also very heavily involved with Creation events. Like, he's very tight with them. He goes to every single one, and his band plays at every single one. So they're tight. I'm wondering if that had a part to play, but don't worry. We're going to get to that. And then finally, I hear word, okay, from my sources again, that there's a burn bridge between Alexis, as pictured, and Nate Bazolik, who plays Cole in the originals, okay? Hugely significant role in not only the Vampire Diaries, but also in the originals. And suddenly he's not attending conventions anymore, okay? But he did the same thing as Chase Coleman, where he came down again on a Thursday, the day before the convention started, and met fans. So I'm like, what's going on? He's coming all the way down to Covington, Mystic Falls, but he's not attending the convention. Something happened. Well, I hear allegedly that something went down. I'm not really sure what happened. Another weird situation going down where an actor has dropped out. Well, then another side piece of lore is that this happens.
Where I was like, well, if I didn't know what it was. Not today. Not today. She has her own stunts. You guys just moved so fast. It was one of those things where I was like, well, if
Another
I didn't know
angle.
what it was.
So at one of the Epic events, professional event organizers, okay, the backdrop almost hit their #1 star, Nina Dobrev. She never comes to these things, and the backdrop almost hits her and falls over on her head. And thankfully, one of the other actresses saved her, okay, from being hit by this. But you'll notice here that the logo's all over the backdrop, obviously. The lips with the fangs and then blood dripping down. Well, it turns out that that's not actually their intellectual property, let's say. Okay? It doesn't appear that Epic actually owned the original logo that they were using when that sign almost hit Nina Dobrev. Okay, the one that they sold merch with, that they had plastered all over for years. Yeah, it was someone else's. So they announced a rebrand. We're so excited to finally share our new and improved logo as part of our epic rebrand. This fresh new vibe marks the beginning of an exciting chapter, and we can't wait to share it with you. Stay tuned for all new merch, updated graphics, and so many things headed your way. Vamps, the best is yet to come. And people are like, what? Why are we doing a rebrand? What was wrong with the original one? Oh, well, that's weird. They got a cease and desist letter, and they changed it soon after that. So this is the one that they were using before. Okay, which apparently was owned by someone else. And this is the logo that they had that was plastered all over the back of every single thing that they had, and the one that almost hit Nina Dobrev. So actually in this cease and desist, which we have access to, the rightful owner of this logo had reached out several times and tried to get Epic to remove or come to an agreement of like, hey, stop using our logo. And they never replied. And then their last and final straw was when the logo almost hit Nina Dobrev. And obviously that reflects horribly on the actual owner of this logo. I mean, nobody wants to see, a logo smacking Nina Dobrev in the head. And by the way, that video clip went mega viral. You might have already seen that before. But yeah, not a good look. So then all of a sudden, Epic's changing and rebranding. Guilty. Well, where there's smoke, there's fire. And soon emerged many signs that there was trouble a-brewing. Okay. To the untrained eye, it might have seemed like everything was fine, but to people that were really looking for it, aka me, who was praying on their downfall every day religiously, I started to see some problems. Okay. The first one was this. Okay. First comes a new logo. Okay. We're pretending like this was not, forced upon you and this was your decision. But they also announced in an email that the TVD events are now moving to basically like a horse park. They announced this just weeks before a convention was set to take place in Mystic Falls. Okay, so it's actually happening now pretty far away in a town over. I mean, this is after people have booked hotels, they've booked flights in, they've booked transportation in. They changed the location. I go, wait a minute, something's not right here. They're saying, before we leave Covington, we'd be remiss to not thank a few of the local businesses who have championed us and been nothing but a delight to work with. They specifically shouted out 4 or 5 businesses within Mystic Falls area, Covington. Some notable ones are missing. Let's just put it that way. If you're familiar with the area, there's many ones that are notably missing. The Mystic Grill being probably the most notable. The Mystic Mercantile being another one that's very notably missing. I started to hear once again rumblings that the town was not happy with Epic. I've heard this from several sources, and I've personally seen TikToks as well of certain businesses there saying that Epic wronged them. And it was extremely obvious when they stopped doing meet and greets at the locations that they used to do them at. So for example, Ian Somerhalder, or also obviously Damon Salvatore, would do his meet and greets, like I mentioned, in the Mystic Grill. So this is him going into the Mystic Grill, which was a huge selling point. It was exciting to see that, one of the main actors actually back in the town heading into the Mystic Grill. Like, that's the place that he always hung out in the show. All of a sudden, they're not offering any meet and greets inside the Mystic Grill anymore. And they're also not offering any meet and greets in front of any of the houses, okay, which was a huge point of it, where it's like, oh, this is so cool. Not only am I meeting this actor and getting a meet and greet, but I'm also in the house that they filmed at. Like, how cool is that? What a cool experience. They did it one time and then it was over. So clearly Epic had burned a bridge with a lot of the locations inside of Covington and a lot of the business owners inside of Covington. And I'm going to read you some of my intel here, word for word, of what I heard happen with some of the Mystic Falls businesses. So Mystic Falls stores were mad at Epic because there was supposed to be a mutual benefit and promotion. So basically Epic was like, we'll promo you, you promo us. It's going to be, this mutually beneficial relationship. And basically, allegedly, Epic did not hold up their end of the deal. These businesses lost money because of it. They're shutting down their business for the day to do this. They're hosting it. They're paying the expenses of hosting, providing food. A lot of the time, like, this is just what I've heard. Then the town basically ends up turning on Epic. at this point. A lot of the businesses as well were upset because Epic, they said, let's do this mutually beneficial deal. And then they invited like all these vendors to their conventions. And like I said, the convention's not even really near Covington. So a lot of businesses lost out on a lot of business. They lost out on a lot of sales because of that. So a lot of things that Epic did and decisions they made allegedly took away from the town's businesses and hurt them tremendously. Is anyone surprised? No. But this is just what I'm seeing. So like major signs of trouble. They're having to change the location. None of these businesses want to work with them anymore. Then they're announcing things like this. I was feeling Epic 3 meet and greets are now open to the public. So people who don't have entry into the convention can now buy meet and greet tickets. It was very obvious that they were not selling like they used to. At the same time, they're running tons of sales, which they'd never done before. So I go, oh, something's up. They're not doing as well as they used to. And also on top of this, the tickets were also not selling out the way that they used to. You know, like I said, they used to sell it in like 2 minutes. And then now it's like every single ticket is still available. Well, this is when things start to unravel, okay? And they unravel in a big way. This was posted to the I Was Feeling Epic attendees Facebook group, and it was by a very well-known regular attendee who's very much in the know of like a lot of things that are going on, has a lot of connections with like staff members and just all this different stuff, okay? And she posted this cryptic post, and I think we need to start here. This is where things just started to go crazy. So it says, to my convention family, whether the cons continue or not, I just want to say how truly grateful I am for the friendships I've made through these experiences, the memories, the laughs, the emotional support, the shared fandom chaos. It all means more than words can express. No matter what happens next, the connections we've built don't have to end here. Conventions brought us together, but it's up to us to stay connected beyond them, and I hope we do. Let's keep in touch. Thanks for being a part of something special. Here's the friendships that outlast the chaos. And everyone's like, what? What are you talking about? What's with the cryptic post? I'm going to see you in Chicago this weekend because there's a convention coming up. Oh, there's a convention coming up in 1 week. Okay. They're like, what's going on? What's going on? What's happening? Well, the bomb drops. Are you ready for this one? 2 massive lawsuits against Epic Conventions have hit the timeline.
If you're in the convention world at all, you might be familiar with the company Epic Events and Entertainment. They do conventions around things like The Vampire Diaries and other TV shows. Well, on July 15th, 2 lawsuits were filed against them from 2 companies for not repaying loans. So basically funding to fund the events. And you can look up these lawsuits as public records, so you can look them up and read the specific complaints for one of these lawsuits. The other one is not posted yet. However, I've unfortunately spent a lot of time in event world, and I've seen this happen more often than not. If you do have tickets to any of their upcoming shows, I highly recommend reaching out to your bank and communicating and kind of starting the process of making sure that you're able to get refunds before anything happens, because what has happened with other conventions is they can declare things like bankruptcy, etc., as close to or on an event day, and then you won't be able to get a refund.
By the way, one of the lawsuits is for over $600,000 in unpaid loans. Oh, we're talking about a lot of money. Okay, in unpaid loans. And at the same time, I'm hearing that not only is Epic getting sued, but the actors from the last convention that they just hosted in Savannah, Georgia, have not gotten paid. It's a problem. They are in massive debt. And like this creator mentions, Kayla, she says, if they declare bankruptcy, you're not getting your money. So you need to get on it quickly.
Definitely protect yourself, call your bank.
But there's confusion going on because Epic Cons Chicago, which like I said is in 1 week, still seems to be happening. I mean, Epic Con still has this TikTok up where they're talking about, yay, can't wait to be back in Chicago. We're so excited.
July 26th, I will be at Chicago Epic Con, so come and meet me. Come to Chicago. It's going to be a great experience.
So they still have actresses on their profiles and on their social media being like, hey guys, come to Chicago. Like, can't wait to meet you there. People are like, is this still happening? You know, what's going on? You know, it seems like there's a lawsuit going on and they've got no money. Okay, so how are we putting on a convention in Chicago with all these huge actors? What's up? And they're mysteriously pretty silent on their social media as well. The last thing that they had posted at this time was a photo flash sale, which once again, they were doing a lot of sales, okay? They had never done sales really until maybe the start of this year. And like I said, signs of trouble, warning signs. But, you know, people are like, okay, what's going on? They hadn't posted, and that's very unusual for them leading up to a big convention like that. Like, they usually are posting a lot more, you know, talking about, hey guys, you know, here's who's going to be here, posting the schedules of when things are happening. That's not getting posted. It's radio silence out of this camp, okay? Here's an example of one of the schedules. They still had this up though. This was up on the website at the time, and it had like the whole scheduling for the entire day for Saturday. Meet and greet times, photo op times, like they had it all built out, okay? This was still available, so people are like, okay, well, I think it's going on. I'm not sure. People commenting and saying, hi, my wife has a 10 a.m. meet and greet on Saturday. What time does registration open? She's a bit nervous she'll miss it. At this rate, I think we're all missing the convention, laughing emoji. Laughing because I'm literally so stressed right now. Is Chicago still happening? Radio silence. I've been emailing about stuff and no one's responding, either because they are understaffed, they refuse to talk about it, or they aren't allowed to speak on it. I guess we'll see what happens. So we going to talk about y'all being sued and people quitting, but it's been radio silence and comments being turned off on Instagram. We need to know if Chicago is happening or not, and if not, how to get our money back ASAP. This is beyond shady. And at the bottom you can see most relevant is selected, so some comments may have been filtered out. Remember that issue that's been plaguing Epic events and entertainment pages since its inception, where they like to silence, censor, ban people? Well, it's happening at the very worst time, because now if you want to speak out against them, you can't even do that. Because if you want to try to get answers about where your thousands of dollars are at, you can't even comment that. It's not even getting through. Then I start to see some TikToks like this one. You're telling me the convention I've been waiting to go to since December may not happen because of lawsuits? Come on now, EpicCons, we are 8 days away. Me, because I fly to Chicago in less than a week to meet my online friends and the cast of my favorite shows. 2 lawsuits against the con, half the staff quit, co-owners are stepping down, rumors of the con being canceled. Yeah, all of this confusion's happening and people are asking for answers. All of the employees, you know, those Epic girls that I told you about that everyone knows, at the same time that the lawsuits dropped, they announced that they're no longer working with Epic. Okay, unfortunately, I'm no longer employed by Epic. It was a fun few years and everyone I have met doing this has been so amazing. Going forward, I'm going to be focusing on myself and finishing up school. For any event-related questions or issues, please email help@epiccons.com. So that was one of them. Here's another one, kind of similar stuff. Everybody posted this message all at once, and then people really started to panic.
Ow, I haven't stubbed my toe in 5 months, I said with joys. I was then shot 50.
2 lawsuits, half the employees quitting, rumors the con is getting canceled. Oh girl, things are not looking good at this point. Then this bomb drops. Someone posts to the TVD Facebook group, which this is a Facebook group that is luckily not operated by Epic themselves. This is just a Fandom independent Facebook group, okay? And someone posts to it and they say, how many people noticed recent transactions were going directly to an account in Alexis's name rather than Epic? I'm sorry, what? This has never happened before. If you paid through PayPal, it would always go to Epic Events and Entertainment. But now they're going directly into Alexis's account. Oh, it's bad. I have a strong feeling that they got way in over their heads, started spending a lot of money on personal things and con things, and got carried away with the experience of being rich. I'm sure their debt started out small but kept growing, and they just continued on like nothing was happening. I'm not sure how it got that bad, but it doesn't happen overnight. This is probably something that's been building up for a long time. Money does crazy things to people. Doesn't excuse any of their actions or poor decisions. I feel for everyone who is out thousands of dollars now. I really hope y'all get your money back. Yeah, these are my thoughts exactly. One loan was from February. They paid a lot of it and then took out an even bigger one in June. And those are just the ones publicly known. Looks like they were taking loans to pay loans, and it all came crashing down eventually. So here's some screenshots that people were providing where this is what they used to look like. Before, it would always go into Epic Events and Entertainment, and then this is what it looks like now. So if you made any recent transactions, especially with some of the sales that they were running, okay, last minute sales, 4th of July sales, stuff like that, it now went into Anna Owen and Alexis Arnold's account. That's very suspicious. I mean, this is thousands of dollars. Look at Alexis Arnold, $370. Alexis Arnold, $258. Alexis Arnold, $61 transaction. All these transactions. And somebody said, nobody questioned this when they saw it going to her and Anna Owen. I think I saw people questioning it and they just simply said PayPal was having issues and it was an error. So they definitely lied. Yeah. So once again, the Epic girls are obfuscating the truth. They're lying there. is off because it's the best thing that they do. They're epically conning people, pun fully intended. Somebody said this is so messed up. They could definitely face jail time for fraud. I hope they do. And probably so the lenders wouldn't take the money from Epic's account since they had to pay a percentage to both from daily sales. So possibly committing fraud and pocketing the money. You know she knew this was coming because they would have sent her collection. I find it very hard to believe that she didn't know this Chicago Con wasn't happening a while ago. How are you $600,000 in the hole and you're still trying to put on events all the way through the year? A lot of people were also wondering, if they decide to declare bankruptcy on their business, are they having it deposited into their personal accounts so that that money is protected from like a business bankruptcy? Questions on everyone's mind at this point. So this was a screen recording of what the page looked like. So all of a sudden, all the tickets went offline for Chicago. Okay, I watched this happen in real time. Earlier in the day, when the lawsuit dropped, these were still online. And then over the course of like a couple hours, they were all of a sudden taken off the site. So completely gone for Chicago. And people are like, what the hell is going on? Okay, we're a week out. This can't be happening. They still, however, had signed headshots available for people to buy. Okay. They had their upcoming events. They all of a sudden took down all of the other event tickets as well. So they had the Feeling Spooky event, which was happening in November. Those are all gone. I was Feeling Epic in Boston. That got taken down all at once. I mean, panic is happening. Okay. And then Epic drops this. We regret to inform you that due to unforeseen circumstances outside of our control, we are canceling EpicCon's Chicago 3 for July 26th through the 27th, along with all upcoming events. If you had purchased tickets to any of the upcoming events, please check your email. Unreal. They also posted this to their Facebook page. We regret to inform you that due to unforeseen circumstances, you knowingly took out massive loans. You knew about this. Yeah. Unforeseen. It's hilarious. Outside of our control, we're canceling EpicCon's 3 for July 26th to 27th, along with all upcoming events. This was not a decision made lightly by the company, and they are saddened to relay this information. Please direct any questions or concerns to refunds@epiccons.com, not to any current or former Epic team members directly, because, well, all the Epic team members are gone. It's just Anna and Alexis left, apparently. Also on this, people were commenting, how are we to be refunded for tickets? Somebody said, I'm wondering this also. How do we get refunds? And Epic Events and Entertainment limited the comments on this post. Is anyone surprised? Not I. Okay, it's just despicable. I mean, you drop a bomb like this and then you limit the comments on the post of people asking questions and you completely ghost absolutely everybody. And then on their website, before the whole website was taken down, they used to have links to the TVD Facebook groups and the multi-fandom Facebook group that they operated and ran. And literally in real time, I watched as they removed the entire Facebook group. If you weren't already in the group, it says this isn't available. And then this is a screenshot of someone that's actually in the Facebook group. And it says, Anna Owen made this group hidden from search and other places on Facebook. Oh, they're running. How disgusting that you cancel an event. By the way, this is a multi-fandom event. This wasn't really like a TVD one. They had some TVD stars going to this one, but this was mostly like The Rookie. They had other shows going, but a huge one was like The Rookie if you watch that show. So it's technically a multi-fandom event, not a TVD one. So they announced that this would be canceled, right, on their Facebook, and then immediately hid it from everyone. Hid it from search. It's despicable, grimy, disgusting behavior. Disgusting, despicable behavior. And they should be ashamed. And I hope they are. It's just so scammy and scummy. It's just unbelievable. Yeah, after this, people were kind of conflicted about what to do because on one hand, Epic had posted this and they were very clear in their posts because, in their Facebook group, they're so nasty and so direct and so clear with people that if you, according to them, any PayPal chargebacks from past to present render you banned from all Epic events. So they also said the events are non-refundable. That's the way that Epic operates. But people were like, if I do a PayPal chargeback, like, am I going to be banned from ever going again? Like, is this company still even going? I think people were being sort of optimistic and questioning maybe they've been hacked. Okay, no. Unfortunately not. The lawsuits are public, right? And they're wiping everything, deleting everything. Luckily, some creators and personalities online who have experienced this before, because there, like I said, there have been conventions in the past that have followed a similar trajectory to this. Okay. And this is very, very similar to what has happened with other failed conventions. So for example, there was the Always and Forever Con, where a lot of people were literally and figuratively conned out of their money. They were paying for things that they never got. They never got refunds. They never got anything from that. Also with the Walker Stalker Convention, if you remember the Walker Stalker conventions, if you're a fan of Walking Dead, you may have heard of this. But basically, similar thing happened where people would pay for things, they would never receive them. You know, actors would cancel, they would never refund people the money. And, you know, at some point, the Walker Stalker Convention was actually being accused of being a Ponzi scheme, because it was the understanding that the convention company, Walker Stalker, would allegedly run sales and get people to buy things and then use that money to repay the money that they had spent on the past Walker Stalker convention. So they were spending money that they didn't have to host these conventions, and they weren't even making enough to host them in the first place. And it was just mistreatment. The actors disavowed it. It was a horrible, horrible situation. And, you know, to my knowledge, people never really got refunds from that. You know, there was all these lawsuits happening. So a similar thing is happening now, where people are like, look, it doesn't look like based on history you're going to get any refunds. You have to call your bank, especially before they declare bankruptcy. That's my understanding, is if a company declares bankruptcy, you're never seeing that money again. And also the implication of, if they can't even pay their actors, if they can't even pay their loans, they're not paying their attendees back. I'll tell you that for free. Like, that's just not happening. So once again, Kayla, who's doing a lot of videos and coverage of this on TikTok, said, my advice, call your bank and start the process to get your money back. We don't know if we can. Apparently, they are going bankrupt. Call your bank before they declare bankruptcy, because then you will definitely struggle, because the creditors will have to be paid back first. What happens if I paid with Venmo, because the money I worked for, I paid from there? Unfortunately, if it was Venmo, you might not have any recourse, because you want to make sure you're never paying a business through a person-to-person money transfer, because you are not protected. So there's a lot of lessons in here, guys. It's none of these people's fault. They didn't know, but you know, in the future, if you're making a big purchase that, you know, is an event or something like that, pay for it through things that have buyer protection on them.
The similarities of the statement definitely do speak to the presence of something like an NDA, in my opinion. The biggest thing when it comes to these events, when things like this happen, is they would have been paying the other companies back if they had the money to pay them. How are they going to pay the talent, their staff, dipping out just over a week before the next convention? It really is kind of a race against the clock for attendees that want to protect themselves. Many have spent hundreds and thousands of dollars of money that you've worked very hard for. I think what's huge too is pay attention not only to what is said, but what is not said.
That's a great point that she's making right here. And also, I want to stress to you the amount of urgency that the first 24 hours of this happening was. Like, people needed to file right away. So if you ever get in the situation again, like, the earlier the better that you can start to file these things, disputes, whatever, if something's canceled or whatever. You know, I thought this was interesting from their post, and she says, pay attention to what they don't say. So it says, please direct any questions or concerns to refunds at Epic. It doesn't say contact this for a refund. It just says, if you have any comments or concerns, email. Once again, they're not saying anything about refunds or the promise of a refund.
Because at the end of the day, a company is going to look out for themselves and themselves only.
Especially this one. Epic Cons, are you joking?
They don't care about attendees. They don't care about their staff most of the time, from what I have witnessed.
They didn't care about us when times were good.
In my opinion. So if you have tickets to any of these shows, I would definitely get in touch with PayPal, your bank, etc., and put them on notice.
Good advice. We have dumped so much money into I Was Feeling Spooky. That's the one that was happening in November. Somebody said, I was so heartbroken over this. I spent so much money, energy, and time preparing for this convention. You guys, the amount of money that is involved in this, that people have spent, like I mentioned, just to get in the door, 3-day general admission, you're spending hundreds of dollars, okay? That it does not include all of the selfies, the autographs, the photo ops, the meet and greets, everything. The merch sales, the flights, the hotels, the booking accommodations, the outfits, the everything. The preparation, taking time off work, getting a rover, a dog sitter, whatever. The things that people have done for this. Flying in from other countries. I've heard multiple people that have flown in from other countries to go to this. It's so much money, it can make you sick. This is absolutely awful. If they are ultimately going bankrupt, how do we get refunded for our money back? I have spent thousands of dollars for Spooky already, and I am kind of panicking. They need to address this rather than just turn their comments off on their Instagram page for PR damage control.
It is a big shame that everyone is being left in the dark. It's likely that in my opinion, people were likely advised by counsel to not say anything. There have been companies historically that literally will have people show up to the events and pull the plug when people are already there. I've witnessed it happen with a TVD convention, I think in 2023. There was also Walker Stalker. And I'm sure there were others that I am just not aware of, but it can happen. And at the end of the day, when legal situations kind of get to this point, from what I've heard from others and what I've witnessed, no one's going to hear anything until it's too late for people to protect themselves. So I'm encouraging people, do what you can if you have any money to get it back.
So yeah, it's very important that people get their money back as soon as possible and file disputes. Like I said, people are out now thousands of dollars. I'm not just talking about attendees, I'm talking about vendors as well. Food trucks, the event spaces, so many people have invested into this. I will say this as well, as somebody that's been to the conventions, I've talked to people, I've been boots on the ground discussing things with people, having conversations about TVD and been in these Facebook groups. I'm there with you. A lot of these people, this is like the big thing that they do for their entire life. They saved up for years to do this. This is the big thing that they look forward to. In a lifetime, this is like the one thing that they care about, okay? And because of that, they put all their money into just going all out for this one convention. I mean, this converts to thousands, you guys, and you'll see that here. Just an interesting comment says, maybe if you would have treated your attendees who stuck by you after October better, then they would have stuck around and supported you. So he said, what happened in October? I've only done TVD Yukons. You wouldn't know because anyone there was bullied into silence. Yeah, exactly. This is insane. Do you know how brokenhearted we are? This is something I looked forward to for months. What about people's airfare and stays? We shouldn't be punished for the owner's mistakes. Agreed 100%. They have to have known for a while that this was going to happen. I mean, there's only so long you can go without paying off loans. I've spent thousands on Spooky already, and I'm so scared I won't see a penny of it back. They better make this right. Girl, same. My hotel is even paid in full already. Looks like I'll be going to Mystic Falls regardless, but how upsetting. Yeah, so a lot of people are like, I'm stuck having to go to Chicago, to Boston, to Mystic Falls. I'm stuck having to go there even though there's not even a convention going on now because I can't even get my money back. It's ridiculous. This is thousands. What the hell? Or guess we're not getting refunds. I'm literally pissed off, y'all. I spent over $2,000 for November's convention. I've disputed every transaction with Cash App and they denied them because it's been over 60 days. What are my next steps that I can do? Why aren't they refunding people? This is crazy. They just vanished. They owe hundreds of thousands in loans according to the lawsuits. I'm sure the money has been spent trying to play catch up. Refunds are going to be hard to get from them, I'm assuming. Unfortunately, with things like Venmo, Cash App, like people are having a really hard time getting refunds at all. If they cancel and refuse to refund, absolutely, they aren't communicating with anyone, so it's considered fraud when you don't receive any of the items you purchased. They are on a lawsuit and probably in the process of filing for bankruptcy. And then this post was very eye-opening, and it said, if you feel comfortable to do so, please drop below in comment how much you are currently awaiting a refund of. Please do not include airfare or hotels. Just include the total amount of paid for services to Epic Cons. I think everyone should be able to see in totality the debt owed to Epic fans. Basically, I scrolled through this, you guys. This is unreal. It's very eye-opening, but it's like $8,000, $6,000, $1,500, $2,500. Like, this is crazy money. Somebody said the total tally for just this thread as of 12:50 a.m. 7/19/25 is $155,000. $155,000 in money that has been paid to Epic and may never get refunded to these people. This is just the people that have seen this and responded. This is with many rounding down or leaving out purchases. This thread does not represent even a fraction of attendees. This is not small fries, people. This is big. Yeah, this Facebook group's not even big, by the way. This is disgusting. And then might be the most shocking of all because this is actually Dina Summerhalder. So this is Ian Summerhalder, aka Damon Salvatore's sister-in-law. She married Ian Summerhalder's brother. She's a major vendor at all of these conventions, and she posted that she had no idea that this is happening. So that tells me right there, Ian had no idea. He found out when everybody else found out. The biggest actor of the TVD universe, who has made them literally millions of dollars at this point, had no idea. And she is like, we don't know what to do. We had no idea. We've been totally blindsided, and were freaked out, and this is their livelihood. It actually got so crazy that it got picked up by several different news stations. So let's take a look at this.
Popular convention set to make a stop in Chicago next week and suddenly shuts down.
We've made multiple attempts to reach Epic Events and Entertainment for comment, but have not heard back. I also called one of the owners directly, but it seems her phone number has been disconnected.
Her phone number has been disconnected. Her Facebook has been deleted. Okay, so she wiped that entire thing. She's on the run. Everyone's been blindsided, vendors, attendees alike, and now her phone number is disconnected. No way of contacting these people, you guys. It's so bad. And people are out at minimum $155,000. It's just despicable. The actors at this point start to speak out because not only was everyone else blindsided, but so were they. And somebody commented on Kat Graham, but she commented, she goes, I know, girl, I found out when you guys did. It's devastating for them. I mean, this is their livelihood as well. So heartbroken I don't get to meet you. And she goes, I know, we all got blindsided. I tried to reach out to Creation, but no response. Trying to get you guys, I promise. Yeah. If anybody from Creation sees this, hopefully they do, please, bring her on. Somebody got a cameo from Eric Winter, who's an actor in one of the shows, and he basically was like, I'm so sorry. We found out too. I don't know what the hell's going on, and I'm so sorry that this is happening, and I wish I could have met you. Totally left in the dark.
Hi, everyone. If you haven't heard, EpicCons in Chicago next weekend got canceled. It is a situation. I know so many of you were obviously looking so forward to it and planning so far in ahead and saving up, and I wish there was something I could do to make it work, but this unfortunately was out of our hands, and it sucks. But I think the one thing that I can do to maybe soften the blow a little bit, and let me know what you guys think, what if I was to jump on Cameo just for that weekend, get to talk with you guys,
Sad.
So we have some sort of interaction. Let me know what you think.
It's awful all around. Another one, very sad news. This is also another TVD actress. And she said, I have only heard the devastating news that Epic has canceled all upcoming events. I cannot possibly explain to you how sad I am right now. I know how many of you have already bought tickets and had to chat with me on DM about seeing each other again and meeting for the first time. It's hard to believe this is happening. I'm as in the dark as any of you as to why this happened or where Epic goes from here. For the moment, please all of you know that I understand how upsetting this is all for you, that I love you very much, and for my part, I am available for any other convention that wants to invite me. My agent is on the phone already to see if there are other places I can come to, but it's not just about me, it's about everybody. The togetherness, the shared laughs, the hugs and experiences, we will all make sure these things get to happen again. It's so disappointing because conventions are like one of the few things that we have still where people are actually getting together in person, having a face-to-face interaction that's positive. This has been taken from these people, and it was because of the greed of this company and these people. Alexis Arnold, I'm looking at you. Well, I'm not looking at you. I don't know where you are. You're on the run. Here's another actress just being like, hey guys, I'm so sorry about this. It seems that EpicCons at this point is a scam. They have gotten away with about $1 million worth of your money, vendors' money, and my fee. So basically she's like, I haven't been paid. Okay. I have tried to contact them endlessly on your behalf, but they do not reply, and there is no way for me to call them. If you have any suggestions, please let me know. You all deserve better, and I'm so embarrassed that this happened to you. And I'm pissed that it happened to you. And I'm furious they aren't making things right. Again, I am so sorry. This has never happened in anything I've been involved in. They are breaking contracts illegally. I'm trying to get this stuff right. Everyone, I'm trying. I'm so sorry. I will keep bugging them for anyone who paid and hasn't been refunded yet. I mean, this is unbelievable. The actors are like, look, I haven't even been paid. Guys, if the actors haven't been paid, I don't have a lot of hope. Once this all unfolded, so did the stories. Okay. And it was like the dam was open. It had been years of suppression, censorship, people who had been ostracized, that had been banned from these specific groups, from these specific events, who have found out about this and have started to share their stories. So I just would like to share some of them with you today, okay? And I hope that this is validating for you if you have been through this or had any experiences with Epic, because you were not alone. I tried to warn people many times about Epic. I gave them 2 opportunities and both were horrible. Main staff was rude. I also feel that they were purposely attacking other convention businesses. Oh yeah. Spent so much money for it to not be organized. As an avid, well-seasoned con goer for over 10 years, you know a good con from a bad one. So many people spoke out about it, and Epic never allowed you to speak on the things that bothered you. So much wasted money. This whole downfall is something many OG knew about. People talk and know, but many times people mentioned we OGs didn't like change. I heard of more bad experiences than positive ones, and it's because Epic filters everything online. I heard it from the actors themselves. Yep. During our meet and greets at other conventions, the actors, a handful of them, no, we literally know how these cons are supposed to go, and we know when they aren't doing something right. The whole Epic group made it to be big and shiny, especially when Nina came. Yeah, things really changed after that. Like, the attitude really shifted to, like, they were acting like egomaniacs, really. They didn't care if they were interfering with other companies, which for so many years companies work together so they can all benefit from the TVD fandom. I'm so sorry for those experiencing everything right now, the vendors, attendees, etc. As somebody who picks up on someone's vibes immediately, I clocked their Mean Girl vibes the second I saw them. Oh yeah. You know, I mean, it was oozing out of them like freaking Nickelodeon slime. For real. As many of you know, I was a talent handler for EpicCons, a role I poured countless hours of hard work and dedication into. I invested not only my time, but also a significant amount of my own money to make sure everything ran smoothly and that the talent felt valued and cared for. Through this, I built strong, genuine relationships with the talent I worked with, something I truly take pride in. It says, so imagine my shock when I was told I could no longer work with the company after they claimed I was giving away things for free, aka stealing. So Epic was very well known for accusing people of stealing, giving things away, and then they would just ban you with no follow-up. I tried reaching out to the owners, who I truly consider friends, and I never could get a straight answer, and just like that, they stopped responding. If they can do this to a friend, I was horrified what could happen to a stranger. I can't help but find it deeply ironic given what is happening now. This is the first time I've talked about this publicly, but those closest to me know the absolute hell I went through the last December and the mistreatment. Just want to share a few of my experiences. So this is another one where basically the ADA stuff was a complete disaster. And the way that people were treated, I mean, it should be a crime. Things were not wheelchair accessible. I have heard stories that actually, I think at the June wedding, people were falling out of their wheelchairs. There was no spaces for people with wheelchairs, walkers, no accommodations made. Alexis could allegedly not care any less about what happened to these people and was very flippant and rude when they would ask for the accommodations that they deserve and that they need. It's just disgusting. And then here's another story that starts to come forward.
About EpicCon's Chicago, their first event. That was in Navy Pier. I was recording Ian, like up on the balcony, like coming down the stairs. And instead of a volunteer going, hey, you can't record, she literally smacked me so hard that it knocked my phone down on the ground.
You'll see the video. She shows it in a second. But Ian's like in an open space, okay? Where it's almost as if he was like on a panel. You're allowed to film that. They were instructed to be like so nasty about anyone that even had their phone out even a little bit and to scream at them and embarrass them in front of everyone. Okay, just another epic thing, just epic things.
So what did I do? I went straight to Alexis because I was mad. I was so mad. I literally had tears in my eyes. And I went up to Alexis and I was like, I just want to let you know that one of your volunteers literally just hit me so hard that my phone fell on the ground.
Violence.
And I like had tears in my eyes, like standing there letting her know what was happening. And she looked me up and down and said, I don't have time for this right now.
So here's the video.
Video or you will be asked.
Look at where he is, okay?
Video or you will be asked.
Smacked her phone out of her hand and said, if you're videoing, you'll be asked to leave. Violence. And Alexis goes, I don't have time for this right now. What a joke. I feel the need to share a personal experience that's been weighing heavily on me regarding my time with Epic events. For those who may not know, I've been a huge supporter of Epic since the very first con. And basically this person like raised concerns about another vendor, a business issue that they were having, and basically they were banned and blacklisted from all events. And the stories go on and on, you guys. There's so many stories that are like this. It was the Epic girls acting unusually cruel for no reason. It was so unprofessional. It was actually like everything they did was out of bounds. Truly, I'm saying it. Are you ready for this? So how about the time when Epic took advantage of an animal rescue? So this is basically what happened. Hey, yes, it was us that did the meet and greet with Riley in June of last year. No, Epic never donated anything. Alexis texted and emailed us that they would donate if we would host the event, and they never sent a dime. They even advertised the meet and greet as a portion of the proceeds will go to Cat Paws. The event ended up costing us money because we had to rent chairs and provide the food and the drinks with no help from Epic. I'm not at all surprised by the news of the lawsuits. You got to be an extra level of shit to do that to an animal rescue. This is true. So this was advertised by Epic. So it said Cat Paw Sanctuary and a donation will be made to Cat Paws from this meet and greet. Never happened. And they lost out on money. An animal rescue lost out on money. This was $200. $200, and they didn't see a penny of it. It's sick. Somebody said, honestly, the red flag should have been when I saw a non-refundable under any circumstance contract, or the fact that if you tried to get a refund, you would get banned from any future event. LOL. No business at that level runs this way. And I had a gut feeling it was off. Live and learn. I felt crazy for feeling off about it because anytime I saw someone try to say they felt the same way or tried to express an issue, they were attacked online. There's so many stories out there. And you know what? If you've got them, share them. Let's keep it going. Why stop now? Let's keep the good times rolling. Well, guys, perhaps the biggest bomb of them all dropped. And this is when we really get into the juice of this video and we get into the tea. We're leaving it all out on the floor, okay? And Chase and his girlfriend certainly did that. So if you remember Chase Coleman, who once again, he played a pretty significant role in the originals, who was the actor who was not invited back to Epic events mysteriously. Well, let's just say he's finally shared all. So when his girlfriend posted this, I knew my night just got a whole lot better. She says, hi everyone, a 40-minute video explaining what happened between Chase, Epic, and I will be posted to his Discord today at 1 p.m. Copy and paste this link. So guys, I'm going to put the link down to this below. We're going to watch some of it. I'm not going to watch all of it because I want you to go watch it, because honestly, the whole thing from start to finish is filled with unbelievable drama. And also she name drops everybody. If you want to know, go to the video. She leaves nothing out. There's so many things that they did, but I'm going to hit on some of the big ones and we're going to take a look at some of the big ones because people need to see this. Okay, people need to see it. So let's take a look, shall we?
So yeah, we wanted to come on and in a really unedited, unprepared, authentic way, share with you what our experience with Epic was like and why we weren't invited back. And I feel extra motivated to do this because there's been people saying that we deserve what happened to us, that we deserve this kind of treatment.
That's the Epic writers. There's no excuse for it, honestly. And if you were one of the people doing that, I hope that you sincerely look within and try to figure out what was going wrong.
That's frankly unacceptable. And I think you'll understand how unacceptable it is once you hear what actually happened. So when they first reached out to us about attending, we were super, super excited. Chase wanted to have his band be part of it, wanted to put a concert together. First sort of domino started to fall when it was the night of our concert at the Social Goat. So we were doing a sound check before the concert and we found out that tickets were between $150 and $200. Wow, that's really, really expensive because we were only contracted to play for 1 hour. I don't know if you remember this, but I remember you saying to me $150 for an hour, that's ugh, I don't feel good about that.
Well, that's the Epic way to charge way too much, okay? Try to extract as much money as they can out of people. It's just despicable.
We have you guys performing for 4 hours from, I think it was 8 to midnight or 9 to 1 or something like that. I started to panic because Chase had been paid and contracted to play 1 hour.
By the way, I just have to say, remember when I said I was talking to people online at June wedding and I had received a story very similar to this? Well, it turns out that story was 100% accurate. I have to say shout out because I got some great intel that day. So, and I'll say this as well. This strengthens their story because I heard that over a year ago from 2 different people. They're telling the same exact story today.
So Chase contacts Alexis and she says, that's a misunderstanding. I never said that. And then our point person at the Social Goat, after we hang up the phone, is like, that's bullshit. And she pulls out her phone where we have a screenshot of Alexis saying to her, yep, they'll be playing for 4 hours.
Typical Alexis, just doing Alexis things, lying her ass off.
Underneath all of it, we were a little upset because Alexis had lied and she lied to save money. Oh, they didn't leave a handler for us, by the way. So all talent gets handlers, somebody to watch them and interface for them between attendees and talent. We didn't have one for that event. So we're just kind of thrown to the wolves. Thankfully, you guys were all awesome. But you never know. And we were staying in Atlanta. The show was in Covington. So after, at 1 something in the morning, Chase and his agent are texting Alexis to try to say, where's our car? Is someone gonna come get us? Nope, they just left us there. So then we were responsible for getting ourselves back to the hotel in Atlanta.
It's 30, 45 minutes.
Longer than that. It's almost an hour.
It's an hour. It's very far, especially with Atlanta traffic. Are you kidding? This is completely unacceptable. No talent should be treated like this. No staff there to make sure everything is good. No car, okay, to pick them up after the gig that they forced them to perform for 4 hours, even though they're only contracted and paid for 1 hour. What?
And so again, that had to come out of his pocket to even get us back to the hotel. I mean, You would never do something like that. Could you guys imagine if they did that to Daniel Gillies? What would have gone down if that would have happened? Or Paul Wesley?
Never.
You don't do that. You don't leave talent alone at a venue and then have no way for them to get home.
I wonder if Chase got a refund from that, a reimbursement. I doubt it.
And that's when we saw the infamous screenshots. If you guys are in a couple of the...
Guys, by the way, skipping around a little bit, but so there was the first thing with the concert, which was the concert scam where they had him play an extra 3 hours unpaid, which is unacceptable. Completely took advantage of him. There was all these little things in the middle of this, okay, as well. And then now there's a screenshot situation where some screenshots get leaked from an insider source that Chase and Taylor get their hands on. Oh, it's bad. So let's take a look at this.
Different epic chats that I'm in. You've seen them. I went ahead and dropped them along with redacted information for the person who shared them because she was like literally afraid like for her life and safety because of how vindictive these women are.
Words can't even describe how awful the culture was in these Facebook groups, at these events.
The screenshots were atrocious. It wasn't just us that they were talking about in screenshots before they met us, by the way. But the main ones that really upset me were ones where they called Chase a dancing monkey and said that he was a pathetic has-been who's desperate and would do anything for money. And I think that's why they did the little concert scam, because they knew that he would feel guilty.
And that I'd do it anyway.
And that you do it anyway.
And they were right.
And yeah, they were right.
So what they're talking about right now is that they received from an insider source some screenshots who was apparently in this group text of the Epic girls basically talking shit about them. Obviously, I don't need to talk to you about how unprofessional this is, like grossly unprofessional, that you'd be talking shit about your actors, your talent that's putting these conventions on and making it what it is. Okay, you wouldn't have a job if it weren't for them. By the way, I hope you know that. They probably don't. But the things that they're saying, no. And by the way, like I said, I just want to mention this because Chase deserves it. I'm Chase and Taylor because they're kind of like a package deal, honestly. Even though she wasn't in the show, I am not kidding when I say that Chase truly, when I asked people who their favorite is, it was always Chase Coleman. And think about how many actors are in this franchise. Both franchises. Always Chase.
That turned into, oh, ha, ha, ha. They mocked him relentlessly for doing that concert in later screenshots that I saw from another source. And then for those of you that don't know, I'm queer, I'm bisexual. It's on my social medias if you look carefully. Super proud of the LGBTQ community that I am part of and love so much. So this leads into what they said about me. And this was the main culprits of this text, and I'm gonna say your names, you guys, because if you're gonna be a mean girl, own up to what you said. The worst people were Alexis.
I'm gonna link the video down below if you want to go watch the full thing, and I recommend that you do. Okay, and you can get the names if you want to. I love that she's doing this. I love it. You know what? Call them out. Call them out by name. Yeah. Them.
I'm literally shaking, like recounting this because it upset me so badly. Alexis said, Chase just told us that he thinks we need to hang out with Taylor because we'll get along with her so well. And then she put like a emoji face. And then a bunch of them laughed at that. And then Anna said,
I don't know what's funny about that.
I don't know why they would say that. Unlike them, we like to keep our clothes on. And then it was like, ha, 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 ha. And then said, maybe you and Taylor can be girlfriends. Or no, he wants you and Taylor to be girlfriends, Alexis. And then Alexis replied to that and said, ha, 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 that's effing disgusting, with a vomit emoji.
You, Alexis Arnold, that's all I can say. Wherever you are, you're sick. You are so pathetic. I'm so glad this is out there.
That was extremely hurtful. And that was when I went to Facebook and I said something to the effect of, I've just seen direct evidence of slut shaming and biphobia. I don't support any company that holds those views. I'm a nice girl, but I'm taking the gloves off. That's when we started getting the threats from the lawyer.
Legal threats because of the things that they said in a group chat about their own talent. And they're sending out legal threats to them.
My agents and like, please don't piss off whatever the bear, And it was very frustrating because in my opinion, this attorney, lawyer, or whatever she liked to call herself in the moment, thought she could email and threaten, and I wasn't scared one bit. I wasn't going to take anything down. And I was actually planning at that time to do a video, I guess, like this back then.
I have to give him a shout out once again for making this video. And I have so much respect because it's not easy what they went through. I mean, they must have been in hell for the last 2 years that this was all taking place, because the position that he is in is impossible. You know, this is one of the only convention companies. You're watching all of your colleagues get invited to these events where they're making a ton of money, you know, presumably. We find out later that yes, they were. And you're not included. And you're getting emails threatening them, and they're talking shit about you, and they're saying horrible things that I personally could not come back from the things that they said. It would be over, okay? But he's in an impossible situation where this is his livelihood. It's hard to have to stay quiet and sit on this and not speak out. So I understand like wanting to pacify things, wanting to try to work out something, even though these people are evil, because it's like, what other option do you have?
After the threats, they changed tactics.
And started calling us
And then
to
they
try to
begged
patch
us
it up.
to get on a phone call. Say, hey, maybe we can get on a phone call and figure this out.
And
They were doing empty legal threats, by the way, because they just ignored the legal threats, and so then they started calling.
I didn't want to, because I had seen what they said about me. I had seen what they said about other actors. Again, those screenshots are out there. The way they talked about Ian, Chris
I'll show you.
Brochu, Penelope, Daniel Gillies is unacceptable. And I was so disgusted with them at this point. I didn't want anything to do with them, but Chase's agent begged for us to patch it up and make nice. Oh, something the lawyer said was, Ms. Arnold and Miss Owen have never said anything disparaging about Ms. Murphy Sinclair. Well, I bet she was a little freaked out after this. Alexis is like, I just want to know what you heard, because whoever told you we said that is a liar. We absolutely love you. We think you're amazing. We never would have said that. So that's when I said, well, it's not what I heard, it's what I read. And then I read them those screenshots. And you could have heard a pin drop on that phone call.
Oh my God. So she didn't even know that she had the screenshots at this point. Oh my God. This is crazy.
And then we didn't even know about your sexuality. That's not what we were saying. I know you did, because you guys liked one of my stories.
They had tears flowing.
Though they were terrified.
You know what they did in that moment too? They confirmed that those text messages are real by saying, well, we didn't know. That's not why we were saying that.
I didn't mean that.
They actually suggested, why don't we bring you guys again and we can make this.
How do you get out of like, I didn't mean it like that. You said it was effing disgusting. A vomit emoji.
Right.
There was a stipulation, which was that we take down what we had said about them. And we both said no.
You know, the bomb finally dropped because they were running this long form game.
By the way, guys, we're skipping ahead again, but basically after this, I have so many notes on what happened. You guys, there were so many ways that they screwed over Chase specifically, in just disturbing ways. Like, honestly, he is owed so much money. He missed out on so many like opportunities because of them and because of their gross behavior. Oh my God. But basically, to kind of summarize, all these text messages came out, and then they got on this phone call to try to patch things up, but the only reason they were getting on this phone call was to try to get them to redact their statements, which they refused to do. But then they offered Chase to be able to come to events again. And he basically was like, okay, well, I mean, this is my job. Okay. So yes, I will come, and I'll just make a news statement on my Facebook page saying like, I'm going to be at Epic and, you know, things are good. So again, this is in the video. Go watch that video. But basically he ends up going to this event, and they realized soon after that him going to a second event was basically all just a ploy to get them to take their posts down, because they had no intention of ever inviting him to another event ever again. And they completely ghosted him after that, and basically like manipulated them into making like a addendum to their post. And it's just disgusting. I mean, the levels and layers of manipulation that are involved in this, it is so far reaching. Wow, it's gross.
Where they were trying
selling tickets for the next event to pay for the previous
They were booking
event.
talent for
way beyond
any form of means that anyone could pay for. Guys, I've worked with creation for over 10 years, up to 12 years, right?
12 years.
And I've talked and I've seen and I've talked to the people that have run it, and I know, very familiar with a lot of the inner workings. Prices that they were paying to get some of the talent there was so astronomically, insanely high.
That's how they got a lot of talent. It wasn't because
there's
they
no
loved
way
the
you
Epic
can
girls.
pay back You can't pay back this loan.
The way that Alexis and her team talked about the talent was despicable. The way they tried to withhold money from Chase was despicable.
Several times, by the way, wrongfully.
The way they fudged a contract to get 3 extra hours of work from him is despicable. Most other talent would have left, and they would have had a right to. I would have encouraged them to. But Chase is who he is. They knew that, and they took advantage of that and then made fun of it after. That's the part, that the mocking afterwards. And I want to say to the girls that were part of their core 10 that quit the day before or the day after the lawsuits came out, that bullied people relentlessly, I really hope you have a change of heart. I hope this teaches you a lesson.
I mean, you're lucky you're not going to be taking a lot of, like, I think Alexis is going to
She's taking all the heat.
have to pay for a lot of
You
this.
all are lucky, but you guys are not innocent.
Honestly, I'm loving it. I'm loving it because it's so true. It's so true. To those girls, the Epic girls, like I said, they were part of this. I don't care that they were not the owners of this company. So many of them participated in the bullying, the meanness, the rudeness, the passive aggressiveness, the unprofessionalism of the Epic culture. They contributed to that directly. And you know what? Those girls should be hiding right now. Truly. They should be in hiding. And you can imagine my surprise when the other night there was a vendors live on Instagram for a lot of the vendors that had lost business because of the demise of EpicCons, especially EpicCons Chicago. And they were trying to sell things to Instagram Live. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw multiple Epic girls were posting and commenting in the chat, the live chat, as if nothing was going on, trying to kiss ass and save face. Girls, it's over. Pack it up. I don't want to see your face ever at one of these conventions again. You have showed your true colors. The things you've done and the things that you've said will not be forgotten. Not by this fandom. No, they won't. It's over. You should go into hiding and do some serious reflection because what you did was unacceptable.
The way that you talked about people behind their backs is disgusting. And I think you owe us an apology, not just us, but everybody. I think you owe a public apology. And I think this is an opportunity for you to evaluate the way that you treat people behind their backs or to their face. Integrity means doing in private the same thing you would do in public. So have some integrity, apologize for the things that you said. If I get a single message from any of you saying, oh, how could you say that about me? I will post those screenshots on Facebook. So don't. Take this as an opportunity to evaluate the kind of person you allowed yourself to become around Alexis, because I believe you are who you surround yourself with. And going forward, do better. I just want you to know that the people you all love so much love you just as much right now. I love it. So, thank you so
Thanks
much.
for listening to this 38-minute video. Thank you.
They wanted
Bye-bye.
it.
I love it. I love it. You guys go follow them. They deserve your support. If you go to these TVD conventions, especially creation events, buy his photo ops, purchase his autographs. Like, he will sit there and he will talk to you. I know because I have his autograph over there on my autograph board. Those two are why the fandom is what it is and why these conventions are so great when they're done properly. It takes a lot of nerve to make that kind of video and speak out the way that they have. You just got to respect them for it. Hey, did I ever send Penelope Mitchell's headshot? Laughing emoji. I know I sent the money, but I can't find where I sent this headshot. I'll send it. We struggled deciding between the two. Neither are showstoppers. And they're new headshots that she was excited about. They said that she was having new glam headshots done. Then we got that, which looked like a free the nipple campaign laughing emoji. We were like, we are pretty sure there's no bra. And the other one, she looks stoned. Alexis, I don't know where you think that you have the room to be discussing other people's headshots. Good God. Here's another one from Alexis. Daniel Gillies. I sent you his headshot email just now. Horrible. By the way, this is one of the biggest actors in the entire originals and TVD universe. Like, one of the main actors of the show. Okay, one of the reasons why your conventions get so many people. There are so many Gillies fans specifically. Hardcore. They go to every convention just to meet him. This is unreal. Oh, here's another one. You want to know? This is even better. Do you still talk to Dina? That's Ian's sister-in-law. Yeah, why? Oh, okay. I was curious if she knew if Ian actually is doing that Creation Con in January next year. Lots of insecurity. She comments and says, and honestly, if he did sign with him, Ian Somerhalder, we deserve better. I'm sorry, Somerhalder? You mean the biggest actor of your entire franchise? Who makes you the most money of anyone by far and away? The one that sells out consistently? What? Him? I don't know if he's seen these yet. That would be so freaking crazy. And then we got kind of an update as well. So remember Addison Bryan, their media personality who was all of a sudden banned from all Epic events, okay, and cut ties with them completely. Well, she posted this sort of like cryptic video where she was lip syncing to like a song seemingly about the Epic situation. This was like the same day. And she also posted this to her Instagram story that said, grateful to call Taylor Murphy Sinclair and Chase Coleman my friends. If you know me from the conventions, I highly recommend giving this a watch. So she's basically insinuating like, yeah, a lot of what they're saying here matches up with what happened to me. Taylor also posted in one of the Facebook groups and she said, I saw the emails between Epic and Addison. And she said, and they were absolutely atrocious. She basically said it was adult women bullying a 17-year-old girl. I don't even think I mentioned that in the beginning of this. Addison at the time that she was doing all this was 17 years old. She's a fangirl. 17-year-old, she's a teenager fangirl who they bullied and banned from their conventions, allegedly. Okay, you guys, it doesn't get much lower than this, does it? I mean, does it actually get much lower than this? Yeah, I mean, when you build a company and you're just flying by the seat of your pants and you've never done anything like this before, things were bound to go awry. Let's just put it that way. I've also received word at this point that Alexis is now on the run in Ireland, allegedly. Okay, so I've heard this from multiple sources and some who have allegedly spoken to actors directly. And the actors have told them that, yes, they haven't been able to reach her. They haven't been paid by Epic, and that Alexis allegedly told them that she had been locked out of her PayPal accounts and that's why she couldn't pay them. I mean, hello? I just want you to direct your attention to this because a lot of people were like, that's weird. She posted this in 2024 and it said, 2024, what a year. I learned that you can work hard and play hard at the same time. We traveled a hell of a lot of miles, frolicked all around Europe. Well, she's frolicking around Europe right now. She's in Ireland, apparently. It just makes me laugh thinking she's on the run in Ireland somewhere. To all my Irish viewers, keep your eyes peeled for a culprit named Alexis Arnold. Saw Taylor a few times. Not only did she frolic around Europe all summer, but she went to Taylor Swift front row multiple times. Yeah, that cost a lot, obviously. Remodeled her entire house, got a dog, bought a farm and a fragrance bar, launched an olive oil and balsamic line, and expanded Epic beyond anything I could have ever imagined. Can't pay her loans back, by the way, and can't pay back all of her attendees who made her business what it was. Disgusting. 2025, I'm ready for you. Let's start the year in New Orleans with an Irish win tomorrow. It's unbelievable that this even exists. So here's some signs, by the way. Take a screenshot of this if you want to, if you're filing disputes with your bank as well. You may need these. Really, event cancel. I mean, what a shit show. This was in Chicago this weekend. But the community came together because that's ultimately what a fandom does. And, you know, I feel like this is a moment where it's like the Grinch who stole Christmas. And he thought that it would ruin their entire holiday. But instead, he woke up the next morning to find the Who's in the town singing. Okay, this is a version of that where it's like the fandom prevails and perseveres. And they all showed up in Chicago and have Epic Sucks t-shirts and signs and still, you know, made a trip out of it. And there were a lot of vendors that showed up as well. So you gotta love that. The city council director of tourism for Covington and Mystic Falls made a post being like, look, we're still going to try to do some events in Mystic Falls for November, the November event that was supposed to happen. Like, I hope you still come. We're going to try to make it worth your while. Please come and visit our town, even though no convention's technically going to be happening. And then the biggest most awesome business move of all time. Due to an overwhelming number of emails we have received regarding the unfortunate situation unfolding with Epic Events and Entertainment, we want to acknowledge the pain many fans are feeling, especially those in the Vampire Diaries, who are also part of our audience. We know we cannot fully make up for everything you have lost, but we would like to offer complimentary tickets to a creation entertainment convention of your choice below. If you are holding a full convention admission ticket, any admission that covers all of the days of the event from Epic Events and Entertainment for any of their upcoming conventions that have now been canceled, please send a copy of it along with your name and phone number to promo@creationentertainment.com. Once we have received your copies, request, and information, we will then email you complimentary weekend general admission tickets. This is unbelievable. Complimentary tickets for an event that they weren't even hosting. They're doing Star Trek, Vampire Diaries weekends, Smallville. What an unbelievably kind and considerate thing to do. And I know that they're going to convert a lot of fans. And then also, a One Tree Hill charity said that anyone that held tickets for photo ops and autographs to meet Austin Nichols from One Tree Hill. They're saying like, we'd like to honor your tickets and have you meet him. In the midst of all of this chaos, there is good and there's a silver lining. You know, at the end of the day, this is what the fandom is all about. I think that that's what Alexis didn't account for, right? And Epic didn't account for, is that the fandom will always persevere. As unfortunate as this entire situation is, it's given us a perspective on why these communities and why this fandom is so great. Honestly, through all this, I just hope people continue to get together, to make friendships, to go outside their comfort zone, attend these conventions, be open and proud and loud about the things that you love and the things that you're interested in. That's what's so important. So anyway, guys, that was a long one. Oh my God. But I wasn't going to spare any tea. And I think this whole story needs to be told. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. Please leave a like if you like this video. Subscribe if you're not already for more videos like this one. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.
The plot just keeps thickening. Allegedly, Alexis of Epic Events and Entertainment voluntarily dissolved the business a couple days before the lawsuits were starting to hit. This is all public record. Don't even think those of us that knew that there were things going on realized the depth of allegedly, in my opinion, what all of this could look like.